Hello everyone, and welcome back to our platformer tutorial. This is part 5, and basically we're just going to learn how to handle ceilings and make it so our cat or our character doesn't jump through the top of the ceiling when we jump right on top of it. So first we're starting off by making a slight adjustment to our handle ground function. Now what we did here is actually we made an input, and this is a Boolean input. Now, we call it moving up because we're actually going to see if the cat is in the middle of moving up or not. And what a Boolean input does is it's in this diamond shape, and it's only one or two, well, it's one of two values. It's either a true value or a false value. So when we're saying, is the cat moving up, we're just looking for a simple answer, yes or no, true or false. So once we add that input in, we can plug in this expression here, which is just y velocity greater than 0. Now, it might not make much sense, but if you think about it, if our y velocity is greater than 0, then that means our cat is moving up, since y velocity is basically our way of expressing gravity. So once we have that in there, we can actually use it in our function, in our my block. So as you can see, our my block now has this moving up little block here, and we're actually able to use that in our code. So in this part, we want to add in an if-else, and basically format it in this way so that if moving up, that means if our cat is in the middle of moving up, then we want to change the y by -1, and if it's not moving up, else change y by 1 and set enter to 0. That's the code we have from before. So the reason we do this, the reason why we change the y by -1 is because technically when the cat actually hits the ceiling above it, it thinks of it as hitting the ground. So it just treats it as ground. But when we add in this moving up, we basically say, oh, we're moving up, so it can't be the ground since the ground's below us. So if we're moving up, it must be the ceiling. This way, we change y by -1 in order to make it so that the cat doesn't go through the ceiling. It moves -1 because it moves down, basically. So if you were to jump up and hit a ceiling, you obviously don't go any further. That way, we actually just make the y negative. So if we were to test this, we can see that jumping up just results in the cat bumping his head and hitting it on the ceiling. And yeah, that's how that works. And we'll see you guys in the next part of the tutorial. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the platformer tutorial, where we're going to be going through a final step. So you might see this cat right here and think it looks a bit strange. He's just hanging off of this ledge by his one whisker. And that's where today's topic comes in. Today we're going to be learning about hitboxes and why they're useful and how we're going to use them. So right now our cat is basically just hanging on by his single whisker, which is not really something you want in your game. So what a hitbox does, it makes it so that the cat, which right now is basically every single part of him, can touch the ledge of this ledge of the ground and actually hang on to it. It makes it so it only has a single part of it that's counts as actually touching things. So you could say most hitboxes are like rectangles, so if there was just a rectangle here, the sprite's actual model would still look like a cat, but the way it interacts with the ground and the environment would be in that rectangle shape. So let's go and see how it looks right now. So here's what it looks like as a hitbox. This is literally just a rectangle, and it's a lot less janky than the actual cat with all its whiskers and arms and legs sticking out. And it basically just makes your game a lot simpler in the sense that your character is just a simple square where it's still your character. It's just that the way your character interacts is just in this simple rectangular form. Obviously, you will still have the way your character looks and all your character's sort of design. It's just that your character is technically, to the game, just this rectangle. So now that we have the idea of what a hitbox is out of the way, let's show you guys how to actually use it. So first, we're going to be using our hitbox in the functions we made called handle ground and walk. These are the functions that actually move the cat or move your character around. So we're going to be using them in here. And how it works is it's actually pretty simple. You just switch to costume hitbox at the very top, and then switch to your original costume at the very bottom. Same thing for this function or my block. You just switch to the costume hitbox, and then switch to your other costume. Now, when I first run it here, it's gonna look like our cat or our character doesn't even switch to its hitbox costume, and that is all thanks to our little checkbox that we checked called Run Without Screen Refresh. Now, all that does is it makes it so that it only shows the final result, but in our case, it's really helpful because we can actually make it so that the cat or our sprite to the game is in a rectangular shape, but to our eyes, it's just a cat. So to the game, it recognizes the shape of the cat as a rectangle, as the size of our hitbox, but to us, like the viewer, it's just the character or the character that you chose. But in this case, we basically just can't get stuck on these ledges anymore. The whiskers don't get stuck, the arms and legs are fine. And it makes the game a lot more smooth, and there's a lot less strange bugs that can happen. So with that, it just about wraps up our platformer tutorial series. And if you guys want to see how to make things like levels or enemies or like things you can collect, be sure to comment that or share your own ideas. And thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.